What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a video where we will talk about the fact that Liverpool are very interested in signing Alexander Isak, and he recently rejected Newcastle's latest contract offer because it looks like that he wants to move away from Newcastle if they don't qualify for the Champions League, because Isak is definitely a Champions League level footballer, and Alexander Isak rejecting Newcastle United's contract offer gives Liverpool even more leverage in the talks to sign Alexander Isak. And of course Isak wants to wait until the end of the season to assess his future, because it wouldn't be wise for him to commit to Newcastle's long-term future to Newcastle before he knows whether Newcastle will be playing in the Champions League again. And Isak is very flattered by Liverpool's interest in him, and I also thought it was very interesting and curious that Alexander Isak travelled to Liverpool from Newcastle even though he wasn't in the matchday squad because he picked up a slight groin injury, and that was revealed like a day before to Newcastle manager Eddie Howe. They still brought Isak to Newcastle, or maybe he wanted to actually witness the Anfield atmosphere before contemplating whether he should sign for Liverpool or not. And another journalist, Tom Gott, is reporting that Liverpool have a growing threat to Arsenal over Newcastle striker Alexander Isak. And right now, if Isak has to decide whether he signs for Liverpool or Arsenal, I think he would pick Liverpool, because Liverpool are on course to win their Premier League title in Arne Slot's first season. Arne Slot could already equal Jurgen Klopp's total Premier League title win number in his first season. Alexander Isak could replace Darwin Nunez in the squad. Darwin Nunez has huge interest for him from Saudi Arabia, and we could sell Nunez for 60 to 70 million pounds to Saudi and funded the Alexander Isak transfer with that money. And of course Newcastle want Isak to sign his new contract right now or very soon, but Isak is in no rush to sign a new contract. Isak will be 26 years old early next season. He has already played 5 times in the Champions League. He scored 1 goal, and Isak is well behind other strikers like Erling Haaland, already played 48 times in the Champions League, scoring 49 goals. Kylian Mbappe already has 83 Champions League appearances and 55 goals, and Mbappe is going to be 27 very soon, so there is not much in age. So Isak is the Champions League level striker, at least for a couple of seasons now, without actually playing in the Champions League much. Newcastle, when they were in the Champions League, they finished bottom of their group. And Isak is Newcastle's highest earner with £140,000 per week, but Champions League level players usually earn almost twice as much, or at least 50% more. Eddie Howe described the contract talks as a complex situation, because Alexander Isak not only would need a much higher wage, he would also need guarantees that Newcastle will be competitive in the next 3 or 4 years. And if Newcastle want to close the gap to the top teams of Liverpool, Arsenal and Manchester City, they would definitely need to keep Isak and surround him with much better players, because right now Newcastle squad is not a regular Champions League level playing squad. They could still qualify for the Champions League because Tottenham, Man United completely collapsed, and Man City are having a dreadful season, and Chelsea are still up and down. But sooner or later, Man City, Chelsea will click into gear. Tottenham and Man United have to improve next season. So Newcastle, to be a regular Champions League club, they need much more than just Alexander Isak. And Isak would probably want to be paid like he's one of the best strikers in the world, and that's not going to happen at Newcastle United, because they have to be very careful what they spend on Isak's salary. Any deal for Isak is likely to come at a significant cost for Liverpool, but Liverpool could raise funds by selling Darwin Nunez, maybe selling Luis Diaz. We could sell, Tsimikas, we could sell Joe Gomez and other players, James McConnell maybe as well. And of course Liverpool felt that Liverpool didn't have time to replace Darwin Nunez in the January transfer window, but Fabrizio Romano said that there is a strong chance that Nunez will leave Liverpool at the end of the season to Saudi Arabia, and they already had a 70-75 million pound verbal offer made to Liverpool, not a concrete written offer, but a verbal offer, and that interest from Saudi clubs will be there in Darwin Nunez in the summer as well. And even the Arsenal legend Ian Wright, who I absolutely love to bits, he's a brilliant pundit, he even said that Isak will choose Liverpool as his preferred destination in the summer if it was between choosing Arsenal and Liverpool. And Liverpool would instantly improve by signing a much better striker, because Arne Slot has struggled to, have one striker nailed down as our first choice, number 9, because Darwin Nunez has struggled for goals and consistency, and Diogo Jota struggled for fitness. So we played Luis Diaz in many games, and he has done well in some games. He scored a hat-trick against Bayer Leverkusen, but in other games it hasn't worked out too well for Luis Diaz, and he shouldn't be playing as a striker for more than a few games as a necessity, because he's mainly a left winger. Arsenal are in desperate need of a clinical number 9, but so are Liverpool. Can you imagine Liverpool winning the title and still being able to improve? Because if we sign a better left back, if we sign a better striker, we sign a backup to Gravenberch, that instantly improves our team. If we sign a replacement for Joe Gomez, that also improves the Liverpool squad as well. But we also need to extend the contracts of Salah, Van Dijk, and hopefully Trent Alexander-Arnold as well. And Ian Wright said that Isak would probably go to Liverpool. I like to think that Arteta could convince Isak, but if we are talking about Slot and the fact Slot doesn't have his own team yet, that seems like it may be a more attractive proposition. Yes, this Liverpool team is Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool team, because Slot signed Chiesa, but he's hardly ever playing. Can you imagine if we could sign players that suits Arne Slot's playing style perfectly, and we could even improve and go to another level? That is frightening. And Liverpool had a lot of games this season where we probably deserved to win the game but didn't. There were only a few games where Liverpool didn't deserve to win the game and did, like maybe against Chelsea at home. That was one game where we won when maybe a draw would have been a fair result. But other than that, most games that Liverpool won were well-deserved wins, and some games that Liverpool didn't win should have been a Liverpool wins. So Liverpool could still improve from this very, very good position that they find themselves in. But when we sit down with Alexander Isak to negotiate, hopefully we will be able to say to him, Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk already signed new contracts, so Liverpool's title-winning team or title-challenging team and the core and spine will stay together. And Arne Slot's high-intensity attacking philosophy could prove to be irresistible for Isak to turn down. It's a much better project than Phase 5 of Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, or whatever they call that phase that they are under over at Arsenal. But apart from Mikel Arteta winning an FA Cup very early, or 2 FA Cups very early, he didn't win any big trophies at Arsenal. And they are already in 4-5 seasons into Mikel Arteta's reign. Arne Slot could win the Premier League, the League Cup, and maybe, who knows, even the Champions League in his first season. Arne Slot could become a more successful manager in one season than Mikel Arteta has been at Arsenal throughout his whole Arsenal career. And of course, Newcastle are in a pretty precarious financial situation because of very tight PSR rules, and also them not qualifying regularly for Europe, never mind the Champions League. Always they are teetering on the edge. And also, Isak apparently has a gentleman's agreement with Arsenal that if with Newcastle, that if Newcastle fail to qualify for the Champions League, then Isak could leave Newcastle. But Newcastle currently trailing in the race for the top 4. That clause could become significant, but top 5 could also mean Champions League football if English clubs do well in Europe. And from a Liverpool fan's perspective, the possibility of signing Isak is very, very exciting. But he also raises questions about the squad's long-term vision. His goal-scoring prowess is evident. I don't think that's a question whether he fits into Arne Slot's system. Of course, Liverpool's recent transfer strategy has focused on versatility with players like Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz offering multifunctional options, but Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz should be the main left wingers, and we could maybe rotate and alternate between them, and we need a number 9. The transfer of Darwin Nunez failed. I think we can safely say that, and let's be honest between ourselves. The Darwin Nunez transfer has failed mostly because of his huge price tag. Darwin Nunez wasn't worth 85 million pounds. Hopefully we can recoup most of that money by selling Nunez to Saudi clubs, and then we would only need another 50 million maybe on top of that to sign Alexander Isak. I don't think Newcastle would realistically get 150 million from anyone for Isak. A more realistic transfer fee would be 110 million, and that is an awful lot of money for a striker, but for Alexander Isak I think it's worth it. Isak, with Liverpool creating even more chances, he would definitely get 25-30 goals a season at Liverpool with the amount of chances Liverpool create. And the jury is still out on FSG. Will FSG fund the necessary reinforcements for Liverpool to not just win the Premier League title this season? There is a very big possibility of that, but to stay there and to stay on top of English and European football, you absolutely need to reinforce the squad, and that will show in the ambition of giving Salah and Van Dijk at least new contracts. I think that's a bare minimum, and FSG hardly spent anything on this Arne Slot project so far, so Liverpool definitely need to spend big this summer, and signing a number 9 plus signing defensive reinforcements like left back and a centre back would seriously show proper ambition, something that all Liverpool fans want to see from the owners to show. And the new manager Arne Slot has absolutely earned the right to be backed in the transfer market. The big question, if Arsenal push hard for Isak and they bid 100, 110, 120 million, will Liverpool engage in a bidding war? Will Liverpool match their financial firepower? Arsenal spent a lot of money in the past few years on Mikel Arteta's project, like 750, 800 million pounds, don't know the exact figure. Liverpool spent probably like half of that, or maybe 60%. So Liverpool can definitely spend a lot more in the summer transfer window than Arsenal, because we haven't spent a lot. Last summer we saved up our money, and also we qualified for the Champions League this season, and next season we will be in the Champions League as well, and hopefully we will go far in the Champions League, so Liverpool earn even more money that way. And Liverpool fans are crying out for a new centre forward. And there is a scenario, if Newcastle don't make Champions League football, then Isak could ask to leave to play in that competition. And that's only the only likely way that Newcastle will possibly sell Alexander Isak. It would still cost more than 100 million. And Isak's injury record, some people are concerned about that. So let's look at it more. Isak has only missed 3 games this season, and last season he only missed 7 games, and Diogo Jota is much worse, because Isak has missed 30 games in the last 3 seasons, but most of those missed games came 3 seasons ago. Diogo Jota averages 21 missed games per season for the last 3 seasons. That's a total of 64 games missed by Diogo Jota. So Isak's injury record is much better. I would sign him if it was up to me, but it also depends on the price, because Liverpool need to be careful with their finances. There is an alternative scenario. Matheus Cunha, Wolves, who is not as good as Isak, but he's still a brilliant striker, a level that he could play at Liverpool if we were to sign him. He only has a 62 million release clause. Is Isak worth twice as much as Cunha? No chance. We could also sign Huijsen from Bournemouth. His release clause is 50 million pounds, and we could sign Milos Kerkez or Jorel Hato for another 40-50 million. So that's 150 million, maybe money better spent than just blowing 120 million on Alexander Isak. But there is a good argument to be made against Cunha, that he is maybe too emotional and too arrogant. He also elbowed an opposition team coaching staff member. But there is an argument to be made for Cunha, that maybe Arne Slot would prefer Cunha over other strikers, that Cunha can play behind the forward or on the wing, not just a pure number 9. Because Arne Slot loves versatile players. He loves players who drift in and out of positions. Luis Diaz and Cody Gakpo could alternate, of course, on the left wing, and Cunha could play as well there, but he also can play on as an attacking midfielder. And Cunha's stats for a team fighting relegation like Wolves is actually spectacular. And finally, I wanted to look at Mo Salah's numbers this season in the Premier League, and in terms of top 5 leagues, Mo Salah is first in goals scored 25, assists given 17, goals and assists combined 42, expected assisted goals almost 11, carries into the box, he's also first in this metric, 98, and progressive passes received 346. So he is definitely the best player in the world and the best player in Europe by a country mile in the top 5 leagues. So I really hope that Salah can continue this form. He wins the Premier League, he wins the League Cup, and my hope is for Salah to complete the hat-trick and win the Champions League trophy as well, because then I don't think there will be any question that Salah will win the Ballon d'Or, because this summer there is no international tournament, so the Ballon d'Or vote will come down to domestic and European trophies and who wins most of those. But Salah is having an all-timer season in the Premier League. Let me know what you think about everything that we discussed. Thanks for watching, have a nice day, see you later guys, goodbye.